Do you ever think about your final breath? Your last breath on earth before you die? Do you ever stop to think about it? When it's going to happen, where it's going to happen, how it's going to happen? I never did. I never thought about death when I was young. And then I found myself in a hospital room. My grandfather was lying there and he was dying. And he meant the world to me. And I remember in that moment, 16 years old, and I was thinking, I would give anything in the world if he could just live a little while longer. Just one more month, Lord, one more year, 5 more years. God, I'd give anything, God. And I started to see not only how beautiful life is, but how fragile life is. And as I watched him die, he died with a lot of peace because he knew this God that I didn't know real well yet. I remember in that moment, I asked myself, how long am I going to live? When's my last breath going to be? And I started thinking, because I never really stopped to think about it before. And the reality is we're all going to die. And like it or not, our loved ones, our family members, at some point, they're all going to breathe their last breath. Say that your mom or your dad was really ill, and say that they really needed healing. And you tried different doctors, and different doctors were basically saying, look, there's nothing else we can do. But you'd heard about a doctor. You'd heard about a doctor maybe a couple towns over. And this doctor had a perfect record for healings. That this doctor, through some gift, was able to diagnose someone's sickness, someone's condition, that they were able to actually heal them through surgery or procedures, that they'd never lost a patient, that anyone who came to this doctor sick left healed. Now, wouldn't you stop at nothing to get your mom or your dad, your loved one, to see that doctor? Even if you couldn't get an appointment, wouldn't you just wait in the parking lot outside of the doctor's office just for the chance? I mean, a doctor like that, their fame would grow so quickly they wouldn't be able to be in public. They couldn't go to a restaurant, to a mall, because everyone would be following them, getting in front of them, begging them. I mean, they'd be trapped in their home. People would be trying to push down the doors and come through windows, come through a roof, anything they could do just for the chance that this man or this woman could heal your loved one. But the reality is, at some point, no matter how great a healer that doctor is going to die. And that no matter how we try to control our lives, that at some point, we're all going to die.
You know, people have a lot of different ideas, a lot of different notions about that guy Jesus of Nazareth, that carpenter from that tiny little town of Nazareth. You know, they had him back in the day too. It wasn't like back in the day everybody believed that Jesus was God. Some people thought, hey, he's just this sort of political figure. You know, he's gonna lead the overthrowing of Rome. Other people thought, you know, hey, he's just sort of a magician or a wonder worker. Others thought, hey, he's this sort of like itinerant rabbi teacher. The same way today, people look back and they say, you know, he was just a historical figure. He was just a philosopher, just a teacher. And, you know, nothing's really changed. You and I still have to make the decision. Jesus looked at them, and still today he looks at you and I and he says, who do you say that I am? Here's the reality, that out of all the people that started major religions, all the great leaders and teachers of other religions, none of them ever claimed to be God. You had different people who claimed to have insights into God, insights into life. Jesus Christ, the carpenter from Nazareth, he actually claimed to be God. And he did things that no one could explain, that no one else could do. He didn't just turn water into wine, just multiply loaves. He healed the sick. He cured the lame. Jesus Christ healed the blind. Jesus Christ did things. He raised people from the dead. He died and he rose. I mean, we're talking about not just 11 or not just 40 or 70. We're talking about thousands of people whose lives changed almost overnight. We're talking about people who followed him to the ends of the earth, people who offered their own lives as martyrs. To do what? To protect a lie? Jesus didn't just have a perfect record of healing, but the reality is that Christ came to heal us on a deeper level, a spiritual level. Jesus actually claimed to be able to forgive sins. Jesus came to restore us. He came that we wouldn't die, that we would live. He saw that death was more than just physical death, that death was sin, that sin is spiritual death. And he said, you don't have to die. I will give you the opportunity to live for eternity. And this is the decision, this is the choice, this is the opportunity that he gives us still today. The question is not about when we're going to die. The question is whether or not we truly want to live. So where do you stand with Jesus? I mean, we all have a different story. We all have a different background and families and opinions. I mean, maybe you were raised in a really, really Christian home and you just had the Jesus and the gospel just kind of crammed down your throat and you're tired of it. You're done with it. Or maybe you were raised in a home, an atheist home, or agnostic home, where you never, ever even conceived that this could be a reality. Or maybe you're just an academic and far too logical, far too many historical facts or lack thereof for you to actually have any sense of faith that this could be true. Maybe you just made up your mind that you don't want to know. Maybe you decided that ignorance is bliss, that the less you know, the less you can be held accountable for. Or maybe you've heard about the gospel. Maybe you've been introduced to Jesus at church or in your family or in religion class. And you know what? The idea of following him was just going to cost you too much. It was going to be too scary. It was going to mean you had to change your life and you wouldn't be in control, and that's not attractive. Whatever your story is, here's the reality that you have to wrap your mind around. That we have a God who loves us so much that he would rather die than risk spending eternity without you. And even if you were the only person on the planet, that Jesus Christ still would have gone to the cross to save you. The reality is that he's not just a teacher, and he's not just a miracle worker, and he's not even just a healer. He is a savior, and he came to save us. He came to save you. And you might be under the impression that, that Jesus isn't interested in you, that you have too much sin, too much shame, too much guilt, you've done too much, you've gone too far, you've said too much, that he would never be able to forgive you, that he doesn't want any part of you, and you're wrong. Jesus didn't come just to save the saints, just the people you see on the stained glass windows. Jesus came to save those who mock him, those who deny him, those who doubt him, those who struggle with him. Jesus came to save all of us because we are all sick, we are all wounded, we are all hurting, we are all in need of his mercy and his love. He knows the depths of your fears, he knows the causes of your stresses and your anxieties, and he wants you to live in freedom. And only when you experience the freedom that Jesus offers, the mercy that Jesus offers, can you ever live a life of joy. Can you ever fulfill your actual vocation that God created you for? Your question shouldn't just be, what's going to happen with my last breath? Your question should be, how can I give my next breath to Jesus, my next breath to God? How can I have God in my life even more? How can I experience the mercy of God every single day? As you experience God's mercy, you will grow in mercy for others. As you experience God's compassion, God's love, you will become more loving, more compassionate with others. Your life could be better than you've ever possibly fathomed, but it's only possible with a relationship with Jesus. Without Jesus, your life will be an unsolvable riddle. Jesus offers you peace. The question you need to answer is whether or not you'll take him up on his offer.